We're talking about motorcycle modifications today. This is important info for riders, as if left unchecked, you can accidentally spend thousands on mods and farkles on your bike you will never recoup when you sell it down the road. So let's talk about 10 motorcycle mods that are actually worth the money. The first mod to make the list today is an extended swing arm. I know firsthand how hard your CBR 300R wants to lift that front wheel when you hammer on the throttle, so to help mitigate wheel lift, you're gonna need to extend your wheelbase. I'm just kidding, obviously. 30 horsepower or 300 horsepower, unless you're building a drag bike, it's probably advisable to pass on the swing arm kit. What should really be the first modification you invest in is frame sliders or other crash protection. We're talking about mods worth the money, and crash protection for your motorcycle is the easiest way to save you quite a bit of coin should you have to layer down. Frame slider and swing arm spools will protect most of the plastic bits on your bike should it end up horizontal due to unforeseen circumstances. Sometimes bikes just like to tape naps. Let them take it. Swing arm spools are always a worthwhile investment because they serve as an optimal mounting point when using a rear paddock stand, which makes routine chain maintenance and oil changes much more convenient. For extra protection for your motorcycle soft spots, you can install an engine case saver that mounts to the bottom corner of your engine, which risks smashing into the ground in the event of a tip over. Those are the basic options for most standard sport bikes or naked bikes. Other styles of motorcycles like adventure bikes stand to benefit from a more comprehensive protection in the form of engine and fairing crash bars and a skid plate, because they are often the sleepiest of bikes and they love napping. No matter what style of motorcycle you're riding, having crash protection is always a worthwhile way to protect your investment. A set of frame sliders is cheaper than a set of new OEM fairings, and a case saver or crash bars are sure cheaper than a brand new engine. Crash protection is always one of the few modifications that doesn't impede resale value when it's time to part ways with your beginner bike as you trade it in for a Turbo Busa. One of the most direct ways to see a substantial improvement in the way your motorcycle feels and handles is to install a good set of tires. Tires are the only contact point between your motorcycle and the ground, so it stands to reason that investing in high quality rubber should yield positive results. New tires provide better traction, especially if the old tires were worn out or you previously bought the cheapest tires possible. A high quality tire is crucial for acceleration, braking, and cornering. You'll almost immediately notice increased confidence and stability when leaning the bike from side to side. For most street bikes, a high quality sport touring tire is the optimal balance of grip, lifespan, and cost. They'll be more effective at dispersing water on the road and operate at a more optimal temperature for most street riding applications. I've said it before and I'll say it again, all the mods a new rider needs are good tires and seat time. But just keep in mind, tires are consumable, so it's hard to think of you recouping your investment on tires in terms of a financial sense, but you're going to recoup them in terms of your feel on the bike. Another motorcycle mod that's well worth it is the cost of installation of wind protection. For the average street squid, naked bikes are usually far superior in most aspects. They've got comfortable upright ergonomics for a more street-friendly power delivery. But one aspect where they pale in comparison to a fully fared sport bike is the realm of wind protection. Without wind protection at sustained high speeds, you're going to be constantly battling wind on your chest and helmet. Dealing with wind like this is, in short, kind of annoying. Clean wind, dirty wind, I don't care much for the semantics. I just know that having your head smacked around while riding at 90 miles an hour while being exposed to deafening wind noise is not the way I like to experience motorcycling. The installation of an aftermarket windscreen can make a night and day difference in your riding. A windscreen can create a nice clean bubble of air for the rider free of intense buffeting. There are many aftermarket windscreens for naked bikes, some of which offer quick release functionality so you can easily swap on and on when you want to switch between freeway squidding and around town hooliganism. If your motorcycle came with a windscreen but doesn't have the option for adjustability and you're still experiencing buffeting due to your height, you can also purchase windscreen adjusters to change the location of the screen and even attach a separate clip-on extension. You might think your bike is cool and stylish without a windscreen, but you don't truly know comfort until you've lived that wind protection life. I remember there was a test ride I did on a Goldwing, and my life was forever changed. As previously mentioned, for most motorcycle mods, you will never see a return on your investment when it comes time to sell. Most buyers prefer a clean, nearly stock motorcycle. But outside of frame sliders, there's another exception to this rule: a tail tidy. Every motorcycle nowadays comes from the factory with a big plastic fender that extends off the original fender. It's like the motorcycle has a fender that's part of the overall design of the motorcycle, built when intentioned by the manufacturer, and then there's also a gaudy, obnoxious plastic fender that extends off of it because the government mandates it. This fender holds the license plate and often serves as the mounting point for the motorcycle's turn signals, and in 99% of circumstances, any rider will say they prefer their bike with a tail tidy, also known as a fender eliminator kit. These kits kits do away with the ridiculously oversized plastic fender that sits on the tail end of your bike and tucks your license plate and all necessary lighting clean and tidy up underneath and beneath the rear of your bike. Tail tidies are really quite easy to install, and if you're buying one from a reputable company and not some Wish.com knockoff, they usually come with model-specific directions. A tail tidy isn't a mod that risks offending the sensibilities like hentai-wrapped fairings or LED underglow, but a mod that helps a motorcycle look closer to its intended design without a bulky piece of plastic trailing off the back. Fender eliminators are cheap, look great, and shouldn't hurt your resale value. All characteristics of a modification that is well worth the money. If you plan on keeping your motorcycle for a while, it increases the amount of options for modifications that are worth investing in. That doesn't mean you should go drop $2,000 on a full exhaust system and a tune to squeeze an extra 4 horsepower out of your MT-07. At that rate, you should just trade it in and get a bigger bike. But a fun modification you may not have thought of is the installation of a different throttle tube. This won't net you any power increase, but changing the distance from throttle closed to wide open throttle will change the way it feels to ride your motorcycle. For instance, on a stock MT-07, it is 90 degrees from completely closed throttle to wide open throttle. If you were to swap it to an R6 throttle tube, you only would have to go from completely closed throttle to wide open with just 45 degrees of turn, halving the distance from idle to yeet. Compared to engine mods or sprocket changes, swapping your throttle tube can really change your riding experience for a fraction of the cost. This is a common mod on lots of bikes from Yamaha, including the aforementioned MT-07 as well as the R3. But the concept applies to other bikes as well, improving the responsiveness of the throttle. A disclaimer, this of course only works on motorcycles with cable actuated throttles. If you have ride-by-wire, you're kind of screwed. Another way to make your motorcycle faster is by improving the braking components. It sounds counterintuitive, I know, but ask any track junkie and they will attest. Of course, you can upgrade your brake pads, swap your master cylinder, and replace and bleed your fluid, but another noteworthy brake modification is the use of steel braided lines. That being said, unless you're building a race machine, you probably don't need to go and replace your brake lines on a relatively new machine, but if you've got an older bike that's seen some mileage and is due for an upgrade, steel braided lines provide a firmer and more responsive brake feel compared to rubber lines. This is because they have less expansion under pressure, ensuring a more direct transfer of force from the brake lever to the brake caliper. Steel braided lines are better at handling high temperatures generated during heavy braking. This can be especially beneficial in demanding riding conditions such as aggressive riding, track days, or pushing it hard in the twisties. Steel brake lines will last longer and help preserve your brake fluid as they're more effective at keeping out moisture than traditional rubber lines. And if you really want to go whole hog, I really recommend upgrading the Brake Master cylinder. It is an awesome upgrade for your motorcycle and will make the bike feel tremendous. I swapped the Brake Master cylinder on my desert sled to a Brembo RCS 19 and the feel is unparalleled. If you spend a lot of time in the saddle and can feel yourself ascending to the status of a sport touring father figure, you may consider investing in an aftermarket seat. You spend a couple grand on your ergonomically designed gaming chair, why not pursue the same support while on your motorcycle? Yeah, you can get a dorky looking seat cover, but there's no better feeling than an aftermarket seat that actually manages to look as good or better than the original, but offers 10 times the comfort. There are many companies that design seats for most style of bikes, including Corbin, Saddlemen, and Seat Concepts. If you have an older bike that has less of an active aftermarket, there's also companies that will take your existing seat, remove the cover, and repack the insides with better materials and replace or reuse the cover. This maintains the OEM finish of a bike but offers much better comfort. Whether you're trying to do the iron butt challenge or just have a particularly delicate derriere, an upgraded saddle is often well worth the money. Okay, I know I've been dogging on heavy exhaust and engine modifications because it's true. If you want to go faster, just get a faster bike. It is the sort of Occam's razor of motorcycling, but that's not to say there are other reasons someone might want to change their exhaust, because loud pipes save lives, baby. Just kidding. It's because motorcyclists are vain, and motorcycles are the objects of our desire. We're titillated by the sounds and sights of our muse. We obviously want to go fast and look cool while doing it, but we also want to hear the unbridled character of our engines through a high-quality aftermarket exhaust. And there is nothing wrong with that. Don't get to pulling your headers and selling your catalytic converter to the scrapyard like some sort of junkie snipping the O2 wires in the process. If your exhaust mod throws a check engine light, you're doing it wrong. But hey, nice high-quality slip-on exhaust can do wonders wonders for the bike. It can improve the look of your motorcycle, create a more exciting soundtrack, and if you're lucky, your butt dyno might just detect an extra fourth of a horsepower. Slip-on exhausts are easy to put on, don't require any ECU mapping, and will shave a couple of pounds off your bike's curb weight and make it a little more exciting to ride. Just make sure to buy a nice exhaust from reputable manufacturers and not some eBay fart can. Another modification that no rider has ever come to regret is installing heated grips. Heated grips are pretty self-explanatory. They're grips that are heated, and you'll actually find yourself using them more often than you might think. Heated grips aren't exclusive to riding in sub-freezing temperatures. Even a chilly 60-degree day will be more pleasant with them installed. By using heated grips, you'll also have less instances of needing to wear incredibly bulky cold weather riding gloves, which can prove cumbersome in many circumstances. As your grips keep your hands warm, you'll be able to wear your everyday riding gloves and always have the option to switch the heated grips off if your hands get too warm. This offers far more flexibility in your level of comfort without having to carry an extra set of gloves and switch them out as you experience temperature changes. Is luggage a mod or an accessory? Who knows? But regardless, any sort of luggage on your motorcycle is well worth whatever it costs. A simple tank bag or tail bag will make your life so much easier, not having to shuffle everything around in your jacket pockets, trying to find a place for your house key, your cell phone, or garage door opener. A tank bag is a super easy way to have convenient access to all of your knickknacks, gizmos, and gadgets. Or if you've got more serious travels in mind and plan on using your bike as a daily driver, some larger locking panniers make a world of difference. It is incredibly luxurious to not have to jam all your worldly possessions into a backpack every time you ride. There are model-specific luggage options to provide an OEM look, or there are many universal aftermarket options which are easy to install or remove. This grants flexibility in which you choose to be fully kitted out or if you want a low-profile, unadorned look. And if you sell your bike, you should be able to swap your universal luggage over to your new bike, making it an even more worthwhile mod to save your money. Thanks for watching, everybody. We've got some huge things coming to the Yamiverse this year, so make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the big moves coming. See you on the next one. Fact: in the world of Adelie penguins, males search for the smoothest pebble to present to females as a gift during courtship. If the female accepts, they mate for life. God, that's cute. Goodbye.
Keep watching Yami Noob.